Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 18 of this 30-day Living an Authentic Life Challenge. Today, we're having a conversation about identity. And I don't know how many of you have ever truly thought about your identity and how much your environment is impacting it. There are lots of times we don't often consider that the environments that we live in have an impact on how we see ourselves, how we show up in the world, and what we actually do. I read a story about this young man who was living in a place called Lodabar. Sounds funny, doesn't it? But that was a place of poverty. Nothing grew there. People were hopeless there. It was a type of environment that gave you the impression that you would never get out and that you were doomed to fail at every single thing that you tried. Well, this young man didn't think that he could do anything beyond his current environment even though he knew that his family was once really rich. His family had so much money that they controlled everything that was around them. But if you're the type of person that isn't kind or considerate of others, you will find yourself in a position where your money will not buy you the safety and security that you think. So this young man's grandfather lost everything that they had, and he found himself in that place called Lodabar. Are you in a place of hopelessness, poverty, or maybe pitiful moments that leave you depressed? I remember that place. And if you don't pay attention, that environment will cause you to believe that there is nothing better and that you are no better than the environment that you're in. Well, instead of walking through that moment of hopelessness, I want to give you some insight about what you can do to turn that moment into a clarity appointment. Y'all have probably realized that I like to write things down. And the reason I ask you to write things down is because when you start writing, your brain starts really processing things on multiple levels. You see, writing causes you to make a clear thought that you're doing an action. That action seals what you're doing in your soul. And when you seal it in your soul, you have a tendency to operate and act on it. So for 15 minutes, sit quietly. No phones, no scrolling, no anything. Get a sheet of paper and then write down these questions. Where am I right now emotionally? Really consider where you are emotionally because we are in an environment that often has us moves here, there, and everywhere, and we don't check in. When you check in with who you are, how you're feeling, it gives you some clarity about what's next. It will also position you to start considering what's around you. So your environment will not be the dictator of your identity if it is not an environment that's supporting you. Here's the second question. Ask yourself, where do I know deep down that I'm really supposed to be? Because some of us are in environments that may be familiar. Maybe it was a temporary moment at one point in your mind, but you've been there so long, you can't even consider moving to do anything different. Your identity is now tied to that place, but that environment, that's not where you're supposed to be. That's not where you're equipped to fully function. So make a decision and ask the question, where do I know deep down I'm supposed to be right now? Ask this question next. Where would the version of me who knows their worth, who knows their value, who knows that this is just a temporary setback if you find yourself in positions that are not supporting you? Because for some people, you were in an environment that you thought that you were headed, and then all of a sudden it shifted. And in that shift, it didn't support you well, but you stayed because your identity, you thought, was tied in that place. It's not tied in a place that doesn't pull out all your gifts, skills, and talents. You are built for bigger and better things. So write down all these answers. And in that element, you get an identity, sort of like a compass of what you're supposed to do and not the chaos that's around you. Here's one other thing I want to leave you with before we go into the Reset Strategies community. And if you are not a part of this community, then you are missing out on so much because this 30-day challenge is just to give you a quick touch point. But the deeper you go, the more you decide to channel into it, the greater you will get an impact out of it. And that deepness That happens right here in our community. So here's one last thing. Position yourself to see Jesus in the midst of your mess. He will reveal who you are at the core of your being. Because if you don't know who you are, go to the manufacturer. And I firmly believe with everything in me, with Jesus and God as the creator of everything, who I am, how I'm supposed to function, the environment I'm supposed to be in, and what I'm supposed to do, my purpose, the authentic elements of my being, He will reveal to me. And when you know who you are, at the core of your being, you will no longer allow people, places, or things to circumvent you. So, day 18, identity. We are going deeper, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.